Hey guys, today I'm just going to do an opinion video, and it's about my revised thoughts on comp in Age of Sigmar. But before I begin, I want to make two disclaimers. The first one is that this is an opinion video, and what I mean by opinion is that these are my own thoughts. If you disagree with them, that's absolutely fine. You are entitled to do so. What I say is not fact, it's just my interpretation of what I've seen as a beginner. I still class myself as a beginner. Um, and it's, if you disagree with my opinion, I'm happy for you to do so. If you want to critique my video, that's absolutely fine. Um, what I consider an improper response is name calling, etc., etc. This is meant to be a mature debate. So let's get on with it. Second disclaimer is none of what I say is official. I don't work for Games Workshop. I know nothing more than anybody else. So I don't expect this to be endorsed by Games Workshop. And like I say, if I said, for example, I think there's going to be a new release of Beastmen soon, don't assume there's going to be a release of Beastmen. Like I say, this is all opinion. So I'm going to start off with my past thoughts. It's been pretty much 4 months since they released Age of Sigmar. In that time, we've had the Rage of Sigmar videos. They seem to have gone downhill pretty much, faster than they claim that Age of Sigmar is dying out. My thoughts on Age of Sigmar dying out, I don't know. I see what I see, I buy what I like, I paint. The first thing that struck me about Age of Sigmar, obviously, is that there's no point system. My first thought was that's a bad thing. I don't like to call them points. I personally, from my opinion, a more accurate description is strength indicators. Let me expand on that. When you had 8th edition fantasy, you had the same number of points. Everyone was graded by their points. You agreed on a points level and you fit an army according to that, and that was considered a fair fight. Now, I liked that because if we had the same number of points and I got my butt kicked, then that's because you're a better general than me, or you know the rules better, you know tactics, whatever. There was obviously a certain amount of luck in the rolling of the dice. I could do 2s to hit, 2s to wound, and still not kill you. And then you could have 6 to hit, 6 to wound, and you could kill me in a couple of melee rounds. That's the way it went. But generally, I felt points were fair. Many will disagree, but I'm talking on the whole. So, first question is, why do they not have comp in Age of Sigmar? And I think that there's two reasons for that. Firstly, it's just far too complex. You have chances of hitting, you have chances of not getting hit. Let me take, for example, a very nice simple calculation. If I have a warrior with 4 attacks, with 4s to hit, 4s to wound, his first attack, you would expect, with 4s being 50-50 chance, you would expect him to hit with 4 hits, and you would expect him to miss 2 of those 4. So then 2 of those hits will carry on to the wound, and 1 will hit, 1 will miss. So out of 4 attacks, he's expected to do 1 wound. So it's fair to say that 4 attacks with four to hit, 4 to wound gives you 1 point unit. Whatever you want to call the base units, he will have one. So if you called him 10 points, then obviously somebody who had 8 attacks with 4s to wound, 4s to hit would have 2 base units, so that would be 20 points. Then you have the chances of defending. Now, let's say he's got a save of 4 again. So you would expect him to defend half of all attacks against him. So if he came up against somebody with 8 attacks with 4 to hit, 4 to wound, of those 8 attacks, you would expect 2 of them to actually wound. And then with this guy's armor save roll, you would expect him to save one of those. So it would require 8 hits to do 1 wound. Then obviously the calculations change if you have a 5 to hit or a 2 to hit, and then perhaps a 4 to wound. Maybe he's got 5 attacks instead of 4. His armor save is 6. So obviously that makes everything all complex. Now there are mathematical boffins who can work all of this out, and there are point systems out there that are all unofficial. But then what really complicates things is summoning. Now I personally I think summoning is fairly simple, but what makes it complex? Say for example, I think a bloodthirster. Sorry, I use demons and chaos as examples because I know that the war scrolls. A bloodthirster, I believe, is a 10 to summon. So that means that if you attempted to summon 12 bloodthirsters, you would only get 3. So the way I think to simplify the points is if you said a bloodthirster was worth 100 points, if you put one in for your armory to be summoned, you would actually include that into your points cost at 1/4 value because there's only 25% chance of summoning him. But what also changes things is only usually 6 turns in the game. If you summon a bloodthirster in turn 1, obviously he's going to have a lot more effect on the game than if you summoned him in turn 6. Then you've got magic spells. They're obviously going to alter things. Command abilities. Sometimes you can't use a particular general's command ability because you've got a better general who perhaps might not have such a good command ability. Where you place things, terrain will make an effect on the game. With fantasy, if you had a unit of archers and you had a hill, you would obviously place them on the hill because you would get various bonuses. Sorry, I keep looking behind me. I keep seeing the postman coming. So to put a true points value, I watched a video the other day. I think it was by MC1 Gamer, and there was just one little snippet in there that I think summed everything up. If you had a unit against a unit of ordinary men, I don't know, say a battle reenactment or something, and the men were exactly the same size, they were exactly the same weight, they had the exact same skills, and they each had 10 bullets, that would be fair. That would be in exactly the same fight. If one of those guys had one extra bullet, then the whole thing becomes unbalanced. One bullet changed the whole balance. And that's why I think there's no comp. But also the second reason I think there's no comp is it opens up new possibilities for the game. There are scenarios where having an unfair battle is part of the scenario. Sorry, I thought I heard something. So perhaps if my opponent had 1/3 more than me, but perhaps had a realm gate. Sorry, if perhaps I had a realm gate, maybe that's how the scenario should work. So there are more possibilities. Sometimes the object of the game isn't to annihilate your opponent. So why do we need comp? First of all, the most basic reason is simply because we had a comp system. When you change things, there will always be people that don't want change. They were happy as it was before, they don't want to see a change. So we had a point system before, therefore we must have point system now. Second reason, you have people that cannot lose. They can't stand to lose. And they will find reasons to lose, excuses if they lose. So if I just turn up with my army and they turn up with their army, I've been playing 6 months, they've been playing 6 years, and I beat them, then it's, oh, it's because there was no points and your army was unfair and it was better than mine. And if we'd had the points comp system, we could have actually seen. So if we'd have had the points comp system in the first place, I could have picked a fair army, and it's an excuse. Next reason, I've made notes. People want a balanced fight. As I said before, you have, I don't know, 1,000 points. So you have your 1,000 points, I have my 1,000 points. People take comfort in the fact that the armies are balanced, and I must admit I did as well. The category that I think I fall into is that I think people want to know the odds. I actually do. I do a little bit of betting on Saturday on football matches, and you'll see Arsenal versus Liverpool. Arsenal are 2-1, Liverpool are 3-1. So that tells you that Arsenal are the favourites to win. So the odds reflect that. I don't actually really care who wins between Arsenal and Liverpool, but what I do know is Arsenal are expected to win. So then the match takes place. Perhaps it's a draw, or perhaps Liverpool wins. So I can then say, "Oh, great one! Liverpool won. Oh, they were they were the underdogs." It doesn't affect me wanting to play the match. If I know that your army is 10% bigger than mine, that's fine. I'll carry on playing. A classic example I use is that if your army is twice the size under the old point system, if your army is twice the size of mine, we have a battle. You annihilate my army, but I take 75% of your army with me. Then you've won the battle, but I've also won a victory because I've taken more than I expected to. So that's another reason. Next, I don't know why I put this in, why we do need it, but you've just got people who just don't give a shit. You field what you've got, I field what I've got, let's get on with it, let's have a nice time, let's have a bacon sandwich. So the advantages of a comp system is that obviously you know what you're dealing with. Sorry, I'll go into disadvantages of comp. The reason the disadvantages with comp is, personally, I don't think we shouldn't need rules. Rules are there because common sense doesn't always prevail. If we had a comp system based on wounds, if we had a comp system based on number of models, then I could field, let's see, I could field 20 blood warriors against your 20 skinks, and anyone would know that's not a fair fight. perhaps I could chuck a couple of bloodthirsters in. By using number of models, it means that a clan rat is worth exactly the same as bloodthirster or Nagash. Nagash is a single model. So by saying bring 50 models, one Nagash is therefore worth the same as a skink or a clan rat. That's not a fair fight, is it? But if we use the rule of dick, which is simply don't be a dick, if you said to me bring 50 models, I would mix. I might have something a bit tough, but it's not there to make sure I win the game. It's there because I want to add variety to my army. So I may have a demon prince, I may have some warriors on juggernauts, some skull crushers, but I'll probably put in a load of blood reavers and blood warriors. And I quite like actually playing with bloodletters. My bloodletters, I don't know why if they're meant to be, but they seem quite weedy. But I like the figures, so I just put them down on the table. And my Skull Taker, I love my Skull Taker, but he seems to be crap on the battlefield. But he's there every fight. Maybe one day he'll have a glorious victory. So the disadvantages of comp is simply that by not having a system where you can even things out, people will take advantage. Of course, that also works into an advantage as well. If you are a dickhead all the time, you will run out of people to play. But it also enables you. The advantage, the disadvantage, the advantages of comp system. For me, a comp system will level the playing field. It will make you'll establish a system where things are fair, and perhaps, for example, I'd like to play part in a tournament, not because I want to take on the best and be the best, blah blah blah. For me, it's a form of networking. I communicate with quite a lot of people via Facebook groups. I'm in Sanctuary of Sigmar, which is my favourite Facebook group. I speak to a lot of you on Facebook. I'm friends with people on Facebook, but that doesn't quite. Oh, and I go into shops a lot, but that doesn't quite satisfy me. I do like to see people face to face, and it'd be nice for me to turn up with my cases of figures, and you to turn up with your cases, and we'll meet in Birmingham or Bristol or wherever the tournament is, and we'll have a nice bacon sandwich and a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and we'll get on with it. And I feel it's very hard to have a tournament where you just say, right, there's no rules on army selection, and some guy will turn up with a 14-ton truck filled to the brim full of figures, and I'll just turn up with what I can get in the back of my car, and that's not going to achieve anything. So the advantages of comp is it tells you what you bring. Some people will take what they can. Sorry, to go back to one of the disadvantages of comp, I feel that by having a tournament point system, it just encourages people to build to win. Under fantasy, I used to see lots and lots of forum posts saying, this is my army list for 2,400 point tournament I'm going to enter. And they might even include pictures, and the pictures are lovely models and models that I'd love to put on the table. And the replies will be, oh, you don't want to take this because that's not very good, and your opponent is going to bring this, and you need to bring that to counter that. And you're not, I don't think that's an army. I think what that's achieved is you're just bluffing and double bluffing. So that's a disadvantage, I think. So my thoughts on comp. My summary really, do I want a comp system? It's not a clear cut yes or no for me. Yes, I would like a comp system, but I don't want it called comp. I want it called strength indicator or something similar. I want to know, like a bookie, I want to know what the odds are of me winning, and then I want to go out and I want to exceed expectations if I possibly can. And I think that by having a comp system, it enabled both sides to gain some form of victory. Not necessarily a conventional victory, as in I've annihilated your army. Um, the victory I feel comes in, this is what I've been expected to do, and I've achieved more than that, so therefore I've I've won. Parts of me say that I don't want a comp system because a comp system will just make people build to win. I don't want to be painting. Let me show you this. This is my current work in progress. Exalted Deathbringer. Is he awesome? I don't know. I've not actually ever played with him. But I don't want to be sitting there painting figures because I want it to be a certain other figure. I want to build because I want a nice bit of variety on the table. And I think that by having a comp system, that's all that's going to do. It's just going to make you put whatever. I don't think it's the comp system we need. I think it's people's attitudes that we need. We need a basic bit of fluff, which we have with Age of Sigmar. We don't have an awful lot as compared to 8th edition, but I think the amount of fluff that we have is perfect. What the fluff tells us is where our armies came from and what their attitude is towards life. And then from there you can then build your own army fluff, and then you can build your army around that. For example, I'm currently building a skull cannon of Khorne. I feel a little bit uneasy about that because I feel that Khorne turns ballistics is for cowards. So here I am building something ballistic with a shooting phase in my army with an attitude shooting is for cowards. Another problem I overcame is Khorne is very anti-magic, and yet I built a wizard, a sorcerer into my army. But I've got round that by not calling him a sorcerer, I call him a summoner. And I feel that Khorne would be pleased at me enabling me to bring more into the battlefield. So what I've done is I've got an army there with no comp, but instead of having a comp, I brought a story with me. And as long as I play with that story, so I'll have a nice bunch. I have an army organisation. I can build troops that I don't mind getting killed and troops that I want to do damage with. A little story, and I think that should be our comp. So I will bring my army to the table with the story. My army may not be as powerful as yours, but we've got the story behind it. We'll then go into battle, we'll win, lose or draw, and that's our comp. So do I want comp? I really don't know. I'm more tempted to say yes, I do want comp because of the indicators of strength, but a large part of me is saying do away with it. So hope you enjoyed my videos. Rambled on slightly longer than I wanted to, but then when don't I? Take care, guys. No. Right, goodbye, guys.